Been a week since I was Dinosaur Valley. I'm at the Acton Nature Trail Wednesday. I think it's the 28th. Not sure how you'll hear me over the wind. I was gonna record some thoughts on what I learned, the takeaways from that 3-day trip with Nick. First thing, foremost, gonna take a whole lot more hiking to get me anywhere near where I need to be. Forget the Appalachian Trail, to do the Lone Star Trail in the spring, which is 100 miles from Conroe to basically Cleveland, the San Jacinto River over there. It's normally done in 5 or 6 days. Not a whole lot of up and down, but basically 15 to 20 miles every day. I think Nick and I figured out we probably did somewhere between 14, 18, 19, 20 miles last week, counting everything. Some of the boulder climbs down by the river were definitely tough. Going up the face of the side of the river to go up and down with the packs was tough, but I was able to do it. But got to do a whole lot more to get much closer to where I need to be. I've watched Scoutmaster, Probation Termination, Dixie, Homemade Wanderlust. I saw when all those guys started out, and they were definitely better shape than I am now, but I will get there. Second thing I learned, the equipment that I'm using now is not expensive. It's not ultralight. Some of it is equipment that I would take on the Appalachian. Definitely all the equipment I would take on the Lone Star. But the one thing I did learn was listening to all those folks that have done the AT and listening to the equipment that they use, I can see where investing in some better equipment, lighter equipment, would definitely pay off in the long run, especially on your body. The Ultra Lone Peak 3.0s that I have, everybody raves about them, at least the 3.5s and the 4.0s now. I can definitely tell you they're worth their weight, that's for dang sure. That's the most I have hiked in a single hike since I started hiking. I started hiking the second week of May. I basically hiked all through the summer, through the hundreds. I took a week off when it was like 110 every day, but other than that, if it was in the hundreds, I was still hiking. You know, I had foot surgery in the last weekend of August, and I basically took 8 weeks off and started hiking the first week of November again is when the doctor released me. The most I have hiked in a single time since then, up until last week, was probably 3 miles. So all of that hiking back to back across those 3 days, I came away with one blister, which was on the foot that had surgery on, and I'm still, my gait and walk on that foot is still adjusting back to use the bone fusion on my big toe. So I don't feel bad about that. I am walking with a blister now, but Band-Aid on it seems to be fine. So, talking equipment, I would definitely change out to the hyperlight stuff that I believe Dixie and IBTAT They both use those, both the tent and the backpack. I did use a 2-person tent. It was an Alps Mystique last week, and I had learned that from these guys that the 2-person tent just gives you a lot more room to put your stuff just outside the tent in the vestibule, and this tent actually has 2 of them, so it was extremely roomy. I did learn from the Marmot sleeping bag that I had. It's extremely light, but I think I will probably go the route that Ivy Tat went with the Enlightenment blanket. I used the sleeping bag as basically a blanket. It unzips all the way down to the toe box, and then you have a closed toe box, and you can actually pull it up over your head and use it as a blanket. That first night it was 29, 30 degrees. It frosted everything, but the light clothes that I wore and the sleeping bag as a blanket, I did not get cold. So I think the Enlightenment blanket, it's rated, I want to say you can get one rated down to 20. I think it will work just fine. I was very impressed with the sleeping pad that we got. Believe it or not, it was ordered from Walmart. Self-inflates. I think it had an R factor of like R8. I never did feel the ground when I was laying on it. So anyway, I think that's what I will probably do equipment-wise. So the food situation. We took some of the, I think it's called Mountain Valley, something like that. It's a dehydrated packaged food. I saw several people that I watched on the AT that had tried them, and they were actually pretty good. Now, I will have to admit, we cheated the second night. We had chili mac, and we had stopped at the camp store, and they had a freezer there, a stand-up little mini freezer that somebody was selling grass-fed beef out of. So they had a beef cutlet in there. So me and Nick, I said, let's get that cutlet and we'll cut it up and put it in the chili mac, see how it is. I had got a backpacking fire pit off of Amazon. Weighs like 2 pounds and just makes a superb fire pit or barbecue grill. And we just do our pots on there, cut the cutlet in half, put it in each pot, grilled it up, and then threw it in the chili mac. It was so good. And we couldn't finish the whole thing. There was just too much. But those meals were pretty good. The breakfast one we had was like a scrambled egg, sausage, potatoes, peppers, and I had brought tortillas and pepperoni slices for lunch, so we used some of those tortillas to make breakfast burritos. They were extremely good. Now, Nick did tell me, being the kinesiology and nutrition guy that he is, there was a few times on the trail those 2 days that I was getting the shakes. I don't know if my blood sugar had crashed or I just wasn't eating enough. Nick said we were probably only eating about 1,200 calories a day, and we were probably burning 4,000 or 5,000. I think I lost 4 or 5 pounds last week. I weighed this morning, and I'm the lightest I've been in a long time. So we'd probably need to eat a whole lot more. And you know, I saw Dixie and Habitat, they talk about stopping and eating and snacking pretty much constant, so I can see where I would need to make a change with that. Hopefully, by the time I get to there, I've had 2 back-to-back years where my A1C was in the non-diabetic range, and I'm only on 1 pill now, just a metformin. I'm hoping another year and I can shake that if I keep this up. That was really the takeaways that I had from it. It was a fun trip. Nobody got hurt, and got to see a lot of stars and a full moon, and a deer crashing through the campsite right about dark as Nick was coming back from the bathroom. So entertaining. I'm glad to see the trail has finally dried up. Last time I was out here, this was all mud, thick mud. So I'm on the second half of the figure 8. I did the first half of the figure 8 first, going down to the stream, and pretty much, I shouldn't say stream, it's just a little trickle. But other than that, that was pretty much the only standing water on that side. So I'm glad to see it finally dried up. Have not seen as many deer tracks today as I had been seeing. It looks like they finished clearing down on the lower side of the figure 8 along the fence, so they probably scared them all out of there now. I have seen a couple of bobcat tracks, but I don't normally see them or coyote tracks each time I come out. It's just not very often I see the deer tracks. So anyway, further down the trail. I am about to hit the home stretch on the back half of the figure 8. Head back to the car. Josh wanted to go, but he kind of forgot that you got to get out early since it's on daylight savings time, or it will get dark on you in a hurry. So making the turn, headed home, back to the car, until I can come back out, maybe tomorrow. It's tough to get out here and you don't get home till 5 and get over here and it's dark by 5:45, 6 o'clock, so out of here.